In this example, we're going to build upon some of our earlier work. So we're going to take some of the earlier examples where we've parametrically modeled the lines which dictate where the structural elements will be for a simple rectangular frame and place some structural framing elements in the Revit building model. We're going to take that work and go one step further by actually creating an analytical model and performing structural analysis using Robot Structural Professional. So just as an overview of what we're going to be doing here, we're going to be adding to some of the prior steps. You can see them at the top, steps 1 through 5. But in steps 6 through 8, the end of this workflow, we're going to create some analytical model elements to transform all those different lines into analytical model elements. So we're going to create some loads. We're going to go through and create some columns, some beams, some boundary conditions. We're going to run a structural analysis on all those things. And finally, we're going to do some visualization of the results. Now, as we get started with this, just a couple things I want to point out about what are necessary to actually run this example. You'll need to run this example on a computer to have Robot Structural Analysis Professional installed. So you'll find that on most all the cluster machines in the Y2E2 building. But if you want to install that on your own machine, and I highly encourage you to, you can download it from, I always go to students.autodesk.com, but you could also go to autodesk.com, education, free software. And within that site, you'll find links to let you download Robot Structural Analysis Professional. So you can download that for free, put that on your machine, and just work with it at home, as opposed to being tied up in the cluster. Okay, so you'll need the Robot Structural Analysis Professional application to actually carry out the analysis. When you have that installed, it looks something like this. It's a kind of very familiar interface. It's very similar to eTabs if you're familiar with that application. But the idea is we have these line models, and with those line models, we can go through and do the calculations and ultimately design the sizes of the different members. Okay, the other thing that we're going to need to have loaded is, pop back over to Dynamo, is there's actually an extension, a package that extends the functionality of Dynamo, and the package is called Structural Analysis. You'll find that if it's installed under the Analyze tab, you'll find some nodes there called Structural Analysis that are all related to performing the structural analysis with Structural Analysis Pro, or Robot Structural Analysis, excuse me. If you look under the packages, what you're going to be looking for is Structural Analysis for Dynamo. The current version is 2.0.1. Okay, but you can find that by searching for packages and then install that. Okay, and that'll give you everything you need. Okay, so with all that installed, what does it actually do? What we're going to be creating in this case is basically extending all the logic which we had put together earlier to go through and create all these framing lines. In a prior example, we also went through and placed some Revit elements and computed the weight of those structural elements. But we're now going to go one step further by, in these purple zones, in these purple groups, going through and creating the analytical model. So we're going to create an analytical model. We're going to run some structural analysis on that model, get the results of that analysis, and then finally do a little bit of visualization. And by that, I mean, pop back in here. Here's an example of that model. Okay, we have a bunch of cylinders in the model representing the different columns and the bars. And what we've done is just colorize them. In this case, I'm colorizing them based on, what is it? Is it the maximum moment? I think it is. Might be the maximum stress. But again, we're going to choose a result value and then colorize the bars based on that result value, just so we get some kind of quick visual feedback that might guide us as we continue to iterate through thinking about the different design options. Okay, so with that as an introduction, let's go ahead and get ourselves started building this one step at a time.